Hi everyone, welcome back to Green Disruptors, Scaling the Future. I had the random idea before I recorded this intro that maybe we should start calling listeners of this podcast Greenies or Greeners. Greenies I know sounds like you're inexperienced and that's totally not what we're going for, but I really liked the sound of it. So if you have an opinion, let me know. Anyway, this is the business podcast where we spotlight companies driving real-world environmental progress through profitable innovation. Today, I'm joined by Yaniv, founder and CEO of SolarKal, the largest commercial solar marketplace in the US. Over nearly 20 years in solar, Yaniv discovered a major pain point. Commercial real estate owners wanted solar, but struggled to navigate dozens of vendors, financing structures, and technical decisions. So SolarKal stepped in as an owner's rep and a marketplace, vetting providers, running RFPs, and helping companies implement solar the right way. Today, SolarKal works with major private equity firms, publicly traded real estate groups, and large enterprises, helping them improve asset value while reducing energy costs. Powered by technology that automates matching, bidding, and procurement. Now, this conversation will talk about the evolution of SolarKal from consulting into a full marketplace platform, what's happening in commercial solar demand today, and how brand credibility is built in a long sales cycle industry. Now, let's dive in. Hi, Yaniv. Thanks for joining us on Green Disruptors today.
Hey, Megan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's kind of get a sense of who you are first. So tell us where you are in the world at the moment.
Currently in North New Jersey, which is counts as one of New York City suburbs. So I
I
was there for
agree.
a while. I did the route of finding my wife, getting married, having kids in New York, moved to New Jersey, I want to say 3 years ago. My personal background has been a lot around solar energy, my entire career mostly, almost 20 years. Initially as an engineer, then I came to the US, I did my master's here, switched to the business side, work for a couple of solar developers. What that means is going after large real estate owners and telling them solar is a great idea, and then doing all the installation and financing of those projects. And about 9 years ago, started my own shop, SolarKal, about helping commercial real estate owners do solar in a better way versus trying to navigate so many different vendors out there.
Okay, so you sort of answered the question already, but was that like the unique angle that you saw a problem in that made you want to start SolarKal? Like there's just too many steps and it's too hard for people to get a project going?
Yeah, that haven't changed over time. I think solar is still have a very entrepreneurial spirit into it, and it's a very fragmented market. So you have, if you want to do solar on your commercial building, not only you have a lot of different solar companies to choose from, you also have a lot of different structures to choose from. You want to own it? Do you want to lease your roof? Do you want to sell power to your tenants? Do you want to keep the power? And because it's not something that real estate companies have to do, they were just
Right.
punted because I don't want to deal with this. I still want to make money out of my real estate. So being on the solar developer side, I noticed that pain point that no one was helping them. No one was trying to help them navigate the process. I was just another vendor coming with a lot of promises how it's great. And solar is great. It's the lowest cost of energy. The value proposition is amazing. It's 3 or 4 year payback. So there's no reason not to do it, besides the fact that they were speaking to me and three other like me with very different stories. Here's how you navigate the federal tax incentives. Here's the local incentives, and so they just decided not to do it. So what I did, I went to a couple to say, look, how about I be your owner's rep? Let me help you. And they're like, where do I sign? And I'm like, okay, I must be onto
Mm,
something. And this is kind of how the company started around figuring out how to help them, which was very complicated for me too. Switching sides from a
yeah.
developer to being a buyer, even that was complicated. I couldn't speak the language of the developers. How do I know which company is best? How do I vet those companies? What's the right decisions? How do you create apples to apples comparison between those projects? So that was kind of the evolution of the company, but that was kind of what led me to start the company from the get go.
Okay, so at the beginning you step in and you're basically representing them to help them make the smartest decision and not get ripped off, all that. So how has it evolved since then? Like what's your bread and butter offer now?
So that was the beginning, as you said, like helping a couple of owners, trying to figure out what to do and running a process for them and getting, 3 or 4 bids, trying to compare those. Now, 9 years later, very different place than we were a while ago. We're now the largest marketplace in the US for commercial real estate. So we're now focusing solely on large private equities who own real estate, banks who own real estate, publicly traded real estate companies. So our clients would be companies that own tens, if not hundreds, of commercial and industrial properties, because we don't want to do it one at a time. We want to do it kind of in bulks. And on the other
Right.
side, we built a marketplace of close to 200 of solar providers and a platform that automatically creates the bids. It took us a very long time to perfect how to run a process. What do you compare? There's a difference. Different structures create different type of RFPs, which create different universe of vendors who want to go after those RFPs. So the matching process, if you think about like an Uber, the idea of connecting drivers and passengers is very easy, but how do you make sure the right driver is waiting for the right passenger at the right time? Kind of the same thing for us. How do you do this matching? It took us a very long time to figure out, and now we have the platform that we keep iterating on and gets better and better all the time.
So the main bulk of your service sounds like it's just a technology platform. Is that correct?
Yeah, we see ourselves as a tech-enabled services company. I think from the client-facing, we are more of a services company. The
Hmm.
same as like Amazon would be a retailer, but on the back end, they're a tech company. So we are the same way. From the client interface, they're more getting like a consultant, like a service. But on the back end, everything is powered by technology. How do you do the matching? How do you do the RFPs? How do you do the comparison between the different variables? All of that has been automated.
Nice. So tell, I'd like to understand, like, if you're going after these companies that own so much real estate, like, how are you specifically finding and connecting with the right people?
So
And
that
how has that
was
process changed, I guess?
Yeah, I think initially it was very hard because the real estate community is it's a closed community. That's
Hmm.
you have to kind of penetrate. They want to see what others are doing. So getting the first one was very challenging, and also executing well because they're also
Right.
comparing notes between them. So we kind of took the bottom up approach. We first worked with like the very smaller ones. We grew to the bigger ones, and some of the smaller ones had partnership with larger real estate companies, so they heard from them. We're doing a good job. So a lot of kind of word of mouth let us grow, just keeping our heads down and executing really well.
Yeah.
And now that we are the largest one, it kind of comes some kind of literally inbound, and then some just because we say, hey, we're working with your five peers, why not work with us? And they will say great
Right.
things about
Right.
us. And I think it also creates in the business world what we call like a moat, like a barriers to entry. Like others are trying to compete with us or copy us. It will be very, very challenging because how do you get kind of the first one and it's already we have such a big market share, and we're doing a great job. So we have close to 100% retention in all of our clients, which is great.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I loved what you said. They're like, where do I sign?
yeah.
Is it, has that changed at all? Like in the last year, like are people still eager for these solutions? Like what's that sales cycle like now for you?
Once we shifted from like the smaller accounts to larger account, regardless, the sales cycle went longer, more
Hmm.
stakeholders. There's a different way to sell to enterprise versus to small businesses. So that just by itself created a longer sales cycle. Obviously, in the last kind of 4 to 5 months, when administration changed, a lot of pressure was put on solar. It just created a lot of time for us to spend on education because the value prop is still there. There's no, solar is still good. They're trying
Right.
to talk about the
Despite
incentive.
despite what they say.
It's not what they say. And again, I think what we're doing is great for the environment. And I know this is a podcast around, the environment. I think to make an impact, you need to have a good business model and for your product to actually create value and money for people, especially in real estate. So what we speak to our clients is a lot about how can I increase your property value? How can I lower your cost, operational cost? How do I increase your operating income from the asset? So we're just speaking that language, and that just makes the business works. And by that, we're increasing the adaptation of solar, which is great for the environment. So we're kind of taking a
Right.
economics
Well, I
first
mean,
approach, and that helps
that's
us.
kind of the whole point of the podcast. Like at the end of the day, this is a business podcast. So if you're in the business of and your product or your service has a positive environmental impact, if your business does well,
guess what? You just greatly impacted the environment. And we didn't have to have any conversations about morals or values or anything. It's just like this makes business sense. So,
Yeah. I mean, the country is now more divided than ever, so we don't want to get to like what's the global warming aspect of it. We just see ourselves as an
right.
energy play. So I see myself working in energy. I think solar is the cheapest source of energy. It's also a new one. Coal, gas, 100-plus-year-old invention, burning some kind of fossil fuel to turn a turbine, very inefficient. Solar is very modular, put on rooftops, like large farms. People will argue around it's not intermediacy, but at the same time, you can partner with batteries. I mean, the grid is combined of everything, so it's a great technology. I'm just happy to be part of it, and we're deploying more of it, which is great for the environment as well.
Agreed. So, I mean, compared to when you started, the offer has changed. You've got these great, you've got social proof, happy customers, you've got your systems down. So, what does the current moment of growth look like, and what are the current challenges?
So I'm always excited about the future. So right now I'm also excited about the future. I think when we transition more from small businesses to large enterprise, that was a transition. We raised money from private equity as part of that process because we knew it's going to increase our sales cycle significantly.
So, you have to have a runway to,
Exactly.
yeah,
I'm always kind of trying to profitable companies, so we're trying to stay in that mindset. Now I think when we have the trust as kind of an energy partner for our clients, is we're thinking about adding more product and services under the same kind of like energy climate positive products. They could be electric vehicle charging, there can be battery storage, other type of solutions, and basically coming with a more compelling offering to our clients. Let's not only help you with solar, let us help you with other things on top of this. And obviously, the solar business is still very low penetrated. Less than 5% of roofs have solar in the US on the commercial building. So there's plenty of growth opportunity there as well. So keep focusing on our core business, kind of expanding that as much as we can with more clients, more real estate with those clients, and then trying to add even more product and services into that. And so far it's been going great.
awesome. So, I would love to know about the sales conversations with commercial properties. Like, I'm sure there's a scale of people who are, more ready to buy and others who weren't even thinking about it. So, let's take maybe somebody who you'd consider a cold lead. Like, what types of nurturing are you finding are working for those kind of people right now?
I think unlike 15 years ago when I literally went and knocked on doors and people were asking me, what do you mean like solar panels? What is a solar panel and how do you make
Wow.
energy? So part of the
Yeah.
part of the education was even like how that works. I think we
Hmm.
passed that stage. So even in the cold lead phase, most of the education is kind of the why use a marketplace or SolarKal specifically versus why even do solar. I think most real
Right.
estate owners are now aware of the opportunity. Some are not, by the way. Some we also have to go through why even do solar, why it's a good thing for your property value, and so forth. So the education always divided into that plus the why, like why solar, why SolarKal, kind of on the nurturing process. And I think on the why solar, it literally speaks for itself. I think there's a lot of concerns these days about the uncertainty on the federal level,
Yeah.
which creates a slowdown. You do see the impact already. And also on our existing projects, a lot of the solar financiers are concerned because they don't know uncertainty is just bad for business in general. And then the why solar kind of thing, just again, going on the social proof referrals, we're rarely going after cold leads because most of the stuff come from our existing clients, from some of we do a lot of good job on marketing or brand awareness, conferences, going to places. Just our brand is very well recognized in the real estate space, which we worked very hard to get to that stage, but now we are cashing in on that investment.
I would love to zone in on that branding piece. Maybe for a company who is newer and still trying to figure that out, what what are a couple lessons you've learned along the way as far as establishing a solid brand?
And I think just like good product and service, that's the longest way to build a brand. because a lot of great product and services die because they have bad marketing or lack of awareness. So that's something, but in the long run, it's really solid foundation because that client referrals, word of mouth is always the best way, especially in the enterprise level. And again, I'm talking about kind of selling to large accounts. I'm not sure about kind of B2C. It's not kind of my world. So most of our marketing would be around again kind of newsletters, providing information, doing webinars, just being kind of a thought leader in that space, and then a lot of sales enablement to our salespeople, materials and case studies. Again, we're just trying to really instill because we're very proud of what we do, but how do you
Yeah.
translate that into to the world? And we try not to spend too much money on marketing, like everyone else, I would guess. So
Yeah.
just trying to, again, kind of create the social proof, kind of be proud of what you do and trying to market that through kind of low cost channels like, newsletters or social or webinars.
Yeah. I'm curious, have you guys, do you run ads at all?
We always experiment with different platforms to run ads. Even though theoretically OCP is the easiest one to measure ROI, we find it very hard to measure ROI, especially in the long sales cycle. Because if you have
Mm,
a long sales cycle, there's different, eventually, there's like a year of sales cycle, dozens of touch points. How do you attribute value to each of them? It's something that we don't know exactly what to do, so we just we just do all of it. Because that's kind of the best way to try. Again, assuming it's not too expensive. We try to put some science behind it, obviously, in terms of like
yeah.
what to put more efforts on. But it's just a very long sales cycle to achieve it one over the other. So ads is one of the things we're doing, but it's not like direct conversion. So like someone
Sure.
clicks
Of course.
and like sign up for a big project with the consultants.
Hmm. That makes sense. So, just, despite the current political state and everything that's going on, what are some of your like aspirations for maybe the next year?
So definitely the uncertainty coming from the federal government created kind of a wrinkle in the midterm. I want to say in the short term, it's actually created a surge in demand because
Right, because people are trying to,
specifically for solar, they created this there's federal tax incentives that would start to expire. It depends mid next year or end of next year. For commercial solar by end of 2027, you can complete projects. So we have some runway. We have a glider to kind of go over the cliff. But not everybody's kind of rushing the surge of demand, especially as I mentioned before, most of the real estate clients are aware of solar, so it's an easier sell. Hey, there is this cliff coming, and it's not just requiring wolf. Like they know it's actually coming because we did
yeah,
education even beforehand. So short term, we see the surge. In the midterm, there's going to be a period what I call like we have to find a new equilibrium of the economics because we're going to have to get used to a world without tax credits. And again, every market in the world has no tax credits in solar, so I think we're going to be fine. But the
right.
market got so used to those kind of fat margins, so we just have to get used to like a more efficient marketplace. Which again, for us, I think it put us in a good standing because as a marketplace, which we are in all states in the U.S., it makes we have low overhead. It's different. When I was a developer, it was different than like being a marketplace. So we are in a much better place than some of the developers in terms of how to kind of survive and thrive in this equilibrium phase. And once we're going to find this new, pricing points, I think states are coming in, the prices are coming down, and margins will shrink. Energy rates are going through the roof right now. I
Right.
don't know if you saw some of the research. You saw in California, close to 40% over the last 5-6 years. In New Jersey, just increased the prices by 20% last year. I mean, all over the country, energy rates are going up, which is a result of if you stop or put some, restrictions on the biggest generation asset in the U.S., energy rates will go up because demand is going up too because of AI and other reasons. This will also create a new equilibrium. And once we're going to pass that, we're going to have a great and very healthy market where we're not depending on the federal government and the market solar just flourish because of on its own footing, which I think is great too.
That just yeah, it makes me feel so much better. Like if it's in the hands of the market and the businesses, we can kind of just separate ourselves from the drama and the roller coaster that the
Yeah,
federal incentives or lack thereof creates. So I think in the long term, maybe it's a good thing. I don't like the way it all came
yeah.
down at all, but
Look, I think it's definitely great to have. I mean, energy in general is a subsidized industry because it benefits every citizen in this country.
yeah,
So, oil is subsidized, and coal is subsidized, and gas is subsidized. And they're getting much bigger subsidies than solar. I think the fossil fuel industry did a much better job lobbying and creating a
yeah,
narrative that renewables is a subsidized industry. So I think the wake up call that the solar industry had, is like we have to spend more money and effort on kind of the perception and the branding of the industry. I
yeah,
think the Solar Energy Industry Association is doing a really great job. Abby Hopper is their president. She's doing a phenomenal job in terms of kind of positioning solar as a strong energy source, and it's not about kind of the climate stuff which we used to do in the previous administration. So I think, because it's a much fragmented market, we don't have as much money for lobbying and, like the fossil fuel does, but we just have to do it. We just have to do it. We have to put efforts. Our company, I had never done this before, but now, talking to senators and doing some lobbying and phone calls and going to DC, now everybody has to chip in and not wait for the final moment where something is about to happen. Do it, kind of year long,
yeah.
because it's part of what you have to do in the energy sector.
That's probably not something you foresaw as
Yeah,
part of your job and your career. Like, how are you adjusting to that?
yeah. I think for me it was a wake up call. Like there's a little bit of naiveness of, oh, if I just, if the business model works and the business is fine, the federal government will do the right thing. But you understand the federal government is also, the average of a lot of forces trying to influence it, and obviously you go from one administration to the other. So it's not, they also have different whispers in their ears, and you want to be one of them.
Yeah,
And you realize it's
yeah,
not just like everything is, level playing field, and everything is like if you do the right thing, then it's going to work well. You have to also put some effort into educating the federal government, which I, when you are young in your career, don't think about it, but now kind of having a different perspective on things.
Hmm. Whew. Well, I mean, it's good to know though that this is happening within the industry, and I'm sure it's happening in climate tech more broadly as well. So good. So now I'm like, okay, how do I do my part as well? So,
Yeah,
um,
which is part of the movement. I think the CI is doing. They're trying to educate all the companies. Hey, you have to put 1 or 2% of your revenue into this effort because we need help. Because of fossil
yeah,
fuel, they are spending 10 to 1 on lobbying. So of course they're going to have a seat at the table that we don't have, and just how the game works right now. So we're never going to change those rules. Just have to play. We have to play the game.
yeah. And you can sit on your high horse and be like, I refuse to play, but that's just hurting you in the end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. At
So,
some point they're going to get you as well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we can kind of wrap up with, I sometimes ask if you could solve one problem in the business with the snap of your finger, what would it be?
Um, I think access to capital for mid-sized companies is always something that is kind of top of mind. There's no kind of good way, especially in a high interest rate environment.
Yeah,
I think it's fine, because there's so many initiatives and things we want to do, but we also want to be kind of conservative with our spending, especially in this uncertain environment.
right.
So
Hmm.
there's I just came off different one of our strategy meetings of the things we want to do, but we have to be very selective. So I kind of wish I can try all of it, because I think all of them would have some kind of great outcome, but we kind of have to be selective. So I think just how do you kind of access the capital in an easier way for, especially in the climate space. I think there was a lot of different grants that we got in the past. Those are completely drying out with the new administration. So there's not too much room for experimentation right now.
Yeah. I've heard that it's harder to borrow like 2 million than it is to get 200 million.
Exactly.
That's a little mind-boggling.
I only know the first part. I never tried to borrow 200 million.
Me either.
Yeah. Yeah, the second step of this sentence is when you owe the bank 2 million, you have a problem when you owe the bank 200 million, the bank has a problem. So it's, I
Good
kind of,
point.
again, I know the first part of this equation more than the other.
Yeah. All right. Well, Yaniv, this is exciting to hear, and I think SolarKal is a good example of ways to just figure out, a segment that's being underserved and listen more deeply to what those pain points are, and then build your business around that and pivot as you need to. And so I'll be excited to hear kind of where you're at in the next year with, you know,
Yeah, no, it's a very exciting time, and I think the solar coaster, as you mentioned before, is you have to have the stomach to do so, and for us who's doing it for a long time, it's just part of our journey. I don't know any other
yeah,
way. So,
yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
we have on our website, kind of go www.solarkal with a K .com, and you can find us. Again, we have a lot of internship programs. I think we had over 50 interns over the years. I think it's a great service to, remember when I was after business school trying to get experience in renewables, it was impossible. So we're very happy to
Yeah.
just allow people to have some experience. So if you're looking for on the job side or just help with solar webinars and blog posts and content, we do a lot of that. So we're happy to provide it as a service.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep.
Thank you, Yaniv, and thanks for tuning in, everybody, to Green Disruptors today. And thanks for the powerful insights into scaling solar adoption across commercial real estate. It's a perfect example of how economic value, tech enablement, and sustainability can align without ever needing to debate environmental ideology. If you enjoyed this episode, you know what to do. Follow, subscribe, share with a friend. And until next time, keep innovating with intention and driving meaningful change. This podcast is brought to you by Mountaintop Social Marketing, your growth partner for when you're ready to scale in clean tech.